This weekend we have 4 quality quarterfinals in which really could go either way, but this one could just be the pick of the bunch. Ireland are taking on the All Blacks and will be looking to avenge the defeat that the All Blacks inflicted them in the quarterfinals of the last World Cup. Now, these two sides had 3 brilliant test matches last summer in New Zealand's back garden, in which the Irish came out 2-1 winners. And if those games were anything to go by, this will be a very, very good test match and one that should not be missed. Now in this video, I'm going to be looking through both sides' starting 15s in which I think are their strongest, and we'll be making a combined 15. As always, please do let me know in the comment section down below if you agree or if you disagree with my selections, and always we can have a discussion around which player is best. Now I'm going to start off with the front row as always. Now I like to sort of mix and match and have a decent balance of players from both sides, but in the front row I do think it is a rather Irish whitewash. Look, the All Blacks front row is a strong front row and is not one to be overlooked, and you simply cannot take them lightly. But I think you can look no further than Porter, Sheehan and Furlong. This front row has a real good balance between sort of the power, the deft touches and handling of the likes of Furlong, and obviously the power of Porter, and then the sort of the speed, the agility of Sheehan. It's a really, really well balanced front row. And look, I don't even think the All Blacks fans will have any problem with me selecting 3 Irish front rowers. As look, the Irish front row is probably the best in the world, if not in the top 2. So the Irish are definitely blessed with a strong front row. Sheehan probably being the star name in the middle. Look, his burst onto the international scene and becoming a world-class player in such little time has been really, really impressive. And then Porter, probably the standout player from Ireland over the World Cup. Maybe it's Bundee Aki, but if you're a forward, you'll say it's Porter. If you're a back, you'll say it's Aki. Porter, look, his scrummaging has been so impressive. And look, in an area in which the Irish don't have too much depth since the injury to Healy, he's really stepped up. Moving into the second rows, we have some really good second rows on show here. We've got Byrne and Ryan for Ireland. Now, Ryan is struggling with some injuries at the moment, I do believe, from what I've read. But I think he should just be fit for the quarter-final. If not, then this is quite void, but we'll just go with it for now. And then on the All Black side, you've got the vastly experienced record holder in Sam Whitelock, who just took the record for most appearances on the international stage from Richie McCaw on the All Black side. And you've got Scott Barrett as well, who's really, really been impressive. Look, Bodie always used to get all the highlights and all the praise for being the best player in the world. But I'd almost say that the likes of Scott and Geordie have definitely caught up with them, if not superseded them. So they've done brilliantly. I'm going to be going with my 2 picks, with Tadhg Beirne and Scott Barrett. I think that's a really nice balance in the second row. Tadhg Beirne's one of the smaller second rows. I think he's not the thickest set of players, but he makes up with that with just such agility. His ability over the ball's phenomenal. Can steal lineouts for fun. Really, really quality player. Scott Barrett is a brilliant player in his own right. A little bit bigger, a little bit thicker set than Tadhg Beirne, but he's phenomenal. Can put in some really heavy carries and takes quite a lot of responsibility in the forwards for being one of the big ball carriers, in which you don't always see big second rows or second rows in general being one of the main ball carriers. But I'd definitely say Scott Barrett is, and defensively as well, he's really, really robust. Moving into the back row, now this is where it gets really, really difficult. O'Mahony, phenomenal player. Really good in the lineouts, phenomenal in the lineouts, should I say. Really good at nicking opponent ball. What a workhorse around the field, gets through so many tackles and just involvements is really brilliant. Shannon Frizzell's probably the standout name. Actually, no, probably Ardie Savea, but he's a brilliant player nonetheless, Shannon Frizzell. And look, when he's not at 6 and you bring sort of Scott Barrett to 6 and you bring a Retallick into the second row, you do miss the agility and the speed and the power of Frizzell, and he does add a little bit of a point of difference at 6. So I'm just going to edge slightly towards Shannon Frizzell. Look, O'Mahony is just phenomenal, so I feel a little bit guilty for taking this one away from him. But Shannon Frizzell is a very, very, very good and high quality player. Number 7, look, this one's one of the more easy picks. Josh van der Flier, World Player of the Year. There's not an awful lot to say. Sam Cane's no mug though, that's for sure. Look, he gets a good bit of stick for potentially being selected because he's the captain and not necessarily always on merit, but I think he's a real quality player nonetheless. He gets through a lot of tackles and gets over the ball quite nicely. But Josh van der Flier is the clear cut here. Now this one is, I was debating not doing this video because I'd have to pick between these 2 players, Doris and Savea. It's one of the biggest headaches. You've got the Both players are just phenomenal over the ball. Both amazing ball carriers, different star ball carriers. Caelan Doris a little bit more route one and very powerful. Sarvea, look, he can get tackled and sort of ride the contact, pull a leg out and just keep going. So very different ways of attacking, but both very effective in their own ways. I'm actually going to leave this one up to the comment section down below. You can decide between these two players. Look, it's so difficult. Probably 51% towards Caelan Doris, maybe not. I think I might be straight down the middle. So I'll leave this one up to you in the comments. You can decide. Moving into the back line, Jamison Gibson Park against Aaron Smith. You've got one of the most legendary scrum halves of all time, and a really Rugby World Cup and just rugby in general Hall of Famer. Really impressive performances from Aaron Smith throughout his whole career. He's really been one of the rugby greats for the All Blacks. And then you've got Jamison Gibson Park, who's been in such great form and has been playing some unreal rugby of late, even having a little cameo on the wing in the last game against Scotland. But unfortunately for Aaron Smith, I'm going to have to give this one to Jamison Gibson Park. Look, career achievements, you'd always go towards Aaron Smith, but in terms of current form right now, not many players are topping Jamison Gibson Park. Moving into fly half, this is another real headache. You've got the slightly more youthful Richie Mo'unga with probably a better running game, a little bit faster, and probably a better ability to beat tackles. But Sexton, he's the old head in the Irish team, and he adds so much to the Irish team in terms of leadership. You can just see when Sexton's on the field, everyone knows what they're doing. Everyone can get directed around and put in their roles, and Sexton is just the cornerstone to that Irish team. And look, if he was to get injured, you'd really probably see a huge decrease. Maybe not huge, because they're all quality international players, but you'd see a significant difference within the Irish side. Look, it's weird because Sexton couldn't play for the All Blacks in terms of he wouldn't fit the mould, and then Mo'unga really wouldn't fit the mould of Ireland. So it's very difficult to try and to contrast these players. Look, before the World Cup, I'd go Mo'unga, but I think Sexton's on such incredible form that I might just have to just edge slightly towards Johnny Sexton. But look, Mo'unga's a quality player nonetheless. Now, moving on to the wingers. This is a difficult selection once again. James Lowe, huge boot, incredible player. And then you've got Mark Telea, who just beats defenders for fun. James Lowe, probably the defensively more sound of the two, but sometimes it's hard to look past the X factor of Mark Telea. His ability to break tackles, and look, he's had a stellar season for the Blues, so he just gets the nod for me. On the other wing, Mack Hansen and Will Jordan. Wow, that is another big contest. Look, I think you have to edge towards Will Jordan. Just got, once again, that extra bit of X factor. Both incredibly pacey, but there's not many players in world rugby that can identify space like Will Jordan, execute it with such speed and precision. Look, I think Will Jordan's a real quality player. Mack Hansen, solid, very solid selection. Look, I used to really underestimate Mack Hansen, especially in the Six Nations. I thought he's probably one of the weaker players in the Irish team. He's only there to put the ball down. I've been so wrong with that. He's been phenomenal throughout the tournament, and real phenomenal player as well. Into the centres. Now look, before the World Cup, you probably edged towards Geordie Barrett maybe, and then look, it'll be a toss-up between Ringrose and Ioane. But based upon this World Cup as well, you have to take that into consideration, what they've done recently. Bundee Aki has been phenomenal. Really been impressed with Bundee Aki, and then as well, Gary Ringrose. Look, Gary Ringrose's performance against Scotland was just unreal. Beating defenders for fun, his ability to get his hands through contact, offload, do all the things in which a 13 doesn't really have to do, but he just manages to sort of add those little 1%ers onto his game, which does really separate the international players from the world-class players. Now at fullback, this is a very difficult decision. Keenan against Beauden Barrett. You've got the 2016-2017 Player of the Year, one of the players in which in the whole of world rugby since I've been watching has had probably the best prime. You see players have good long brilliant careers like Aaron Smith, but in terms of a prime Beauden Barrett, what a player that was. The 2016-2017 Beauden Barrett was just ridiculous. Had the pace of a winger, with the vision of a fly half, with the boot of a horse. Like, he's just ridiculous, unreal player. But Hugo Keenan is really underrated. Does everything so well. And Beauden Barrett has really admitted himself that fullback isn't his best position. So it's probably quite difficult to throw Beauden Barrett in as the starting 15 when he's said that he's not most comfortable there. It works really nicely in terms of the dual playmaker role for the All Blacks, and it flows quite nicely. But look, Hugo Keenan is a 15 through and through, so I will just edge towards Hugo Keenan. However, in terms of the importance to their own teams, look, the All Blacks really do work well off of a dual playmaker. And if you took Beauden Barrett out and you put in a sort of a stereotypical 15, which isn't a playmaker necessarily, it probably wouldn't fit. But that's why each team is so unique and individual. I'm going to go with Hugo Keenan, solid under the high ball, and probably the slightly better of the test match fullbacks, if that makes any sense. But Beauden Barrett, if you gave Beauden Barrett a dry pitch and perfect conditions, you could score tries and create tries for fun. But look, that is my combined 15. Look, I feel like the All Blacks may have been slightly hard done by there, but the main positions which you could sort of toss and turn between are probably fly half, definitely the number 8 debate. I don't know which way to go and sway with that one. Second rows, maybe you could debate between Ryan and Scott Barrett. The front row, probably non-negotiable. So look, let me know your thoughts. This is just my opinion, and I'll check the comments and see what everyone has to say. But thank you very much for watching.